Movie stars are America's royalty. Elizabeth Taylor was queen, and her long reign has come to an end. As you've likely heard, Elizabeth Taylor died today in a Los Angeles hospital surrounded by her 4 children. The cause was congestive heart failure. As soon as the news broke, some of her many fans placed flowers on her star along the Hollywood Walk of Fame, honoring a woman whose work and life were part of our culture for 7 decades.
Are you going to continue making movies or just be a housewife?
Well, I couldn't really care less about making movies, to tell you the truth. I consider it much more important to be a good woman than a great actress.
In her life, Elizabeth Taylor worked hard at being both. She hated the nickname Liz. She said it sounded like a hiss, but it was something she was stuck with from a very early age. And even as a child star, she was known as One-Shot Liz, because at least on screen, she always got it right on the first try.
Beauty alone doesn't make a star. It certainly doesn't maintain stardom. She had a spark that lit up that beauty.
Born in London, her parents moved to Hollywood just before World War II. Her beauty and those brilliant violet eyes were first captured on film when she was 10. She grew up quickly at MGM.
Poor lassie.
But it was National Velvet that made her a movie star. She was only 12.
Do you think a race like this is won by luck?
No. By knowing the pie can win and telling him so.
In 1949, at just 17, Taylor started working on a movie with Montgomery Clift, A Place in the Sun.
Aren't you happy with me?
But she had already found hers. That year, she was on the cover of Time magazine. The headline, Cinema Sapphires from Common Clay. In the coming years, she would prove her life was anything but common. And then there were the men.
Some people have called her old-fashioned in that she married the men. Marriage is not always the first option in today's society, but it was for her.
Taylor was married 8 times to 7 husbands.
My bride and myself are going to have a wonderful time in Europe.
At 18, she married hotel magnate Conrad Nicky Hilton. 9 months later, the couple divorced. Husband number 2 lasted longer. She was married for 5 years to British actor Michael Wilding, with whom she had 2 children.
He's a wonderful man. He has everything that you could possibly want. He has.
She described her 3rd husband, film producer Mike Todd, as one of the 2 great loves of her life. Todd was killed in a plane crash after the birth of their daughter. Elizabeth Taylor became a widow at 26. As her roles became more passionate and intense, her life began to imitate art.
I feel all the time like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Maggie the cat leapt into the arms of husband number 4, Eddie Fisher, and was vilified in the press for stealing him away from girl next door, Debbie Reynolds.
Mama, face it. I was the slut of all time.
In Butterfield 8, she played a scheming New York call girl. It won her her first of 2 Oscars.
I thought the film stunk. I don't think I was particularly good in it, but I'd had pneumonia and had my throat cut open, tracheotomy, and I won that year. I think it was sympathy.
Her next movie would be one of her biggest in scale and notoriety, Cleopatra.
Smoke.
It would also ignite her second great love.
You will kneel.
I will what?
On your knees.
Her leading man, Richard Burton, became husband number 5 and later 6 when they remarried. They had a child together, her 4th. The 2 were extravagant as the jewels he bought her. Her love affair with diamonds never died. Her love affair with Burton was over by 1976, but not before the couple had made one last iconic film.
You what?
For which she won a 2nd Oscar, an explosive domestic drama about the unraveling of a marriage.
I'm loud and I'm vulgar and I wear the pants in the house because somebody's got to.
I don't think there was a reflection of their real lives in the characters of George and Martha, but obviously Taylor and Burton had a tempestuous relationship.
When I insult Elizabeth, which I frequently do, I do not attack that soft spot in the underbelly. And when she attacks me, double chins.
You bloody well have.
Taylor would marry twice more, to Virginia Senator John Warner, and finally in 1991 to construction worker Larry Fortensky, whom she met during her time at the Betty Ford Center, recovering from addiction to prescription painkillers. Her physical ailments were many. By one count, more than 70 illnesses or injuries that sent her to the hospital, each one sparking a tabloid frenzy and more grist for the rumor mill.
I've had addictions, I've had weight problems. I've almost died a couple of times. I've been pronounced dead. I've read my own obituaries. They were the best reviews I ever had.
But perhaps her best work began in 1985 during the AIDS epidemic. Several of her friends had died, including Rock Hudson.
And people were so shocked. And it was like the town, Hollywood, became aware that one of its own had been hit. And a lot of people came. A lot of people didn't because of the stigma.
She helped form the AIDS research group, AMFAR, and served as its first national chairman. Her work for AIDS charities raised a reported $270 million over 2 decades.
President Bush, Mr. Quayle, Senator Helms, your policy is wrong, dead wrong, and you know it.
Friends say Elizabeth Taylor often reached out to kindred spirits like Michael Jackson. She stood by him as his own personal demons became headlines.
We're both show business children, had no childhood to speak of, and went through the loneliness of that.
Today, violet flowers, the color of her eyes, cover that star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In January, she tweeted to her fans, "Every breath you take today should be with someone else in mind. I love you." Elizabeth Taylor was 79. In addition to her children, Elizabeth Taylor is survived by 10 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren, and of course, many, many friends, including Bill and Hillary Clinton, who said, quote, "Elizabeth's legacy will live on in many people around the world whose lives will be longer and better because of her work."